Welcome, everyone. I am Chris Gore. This is Film Threads. Yes, the show where I might say a sentence, and then that sentence is repeated like telephone in an article, and then other people do videos on that article about the one sentence I said. And to be fair, we do that too. So what am I talking about? On the show today, Borderlands. That's right. We're talking about Borderlands, plus lots of, we have other movies. Cuckoo. It ends with us. Good one. Girl, you know it's true. Who's reviewing that? Alan, of course. Plus, Duchess director Neil Marshall will be on the show at the very end of the show. And we've got some great news items. Amazing news items that Alan found. What can I say? Let's start the show. Let's get going. Let's go.
My Dixie wrecked.
No, that's not.
I am so fucking Todd Ed. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go.
Alan!
Yes.
Well, we're demonetized now.
Yeah. Well, I did do ADR for Deadpool and Wolverine. So
Great job, Alan.
Thank
Great
you.
job. Hey, we have so much to get to. Let's look at comments first.
Okay.
Let's go.
Drusen, let's see, sorry. Drusen became a YouTube member. Welcome aboard. M for 5. Hey y'all, won't be catching today's live streaming. I have birthday activities to do. Oh, thanks for the birthday wishes. But keep up the good work. Any advice on turning 34? I feel old.
You're 34. You are young. You don't know anything.
Yeah.
50 is the new 30, and 34 is the new 22. So don't worry. You're good. 34 is nothing. You're just learning. You're a kid. So there you go. All right.
I have a couple kids. That's all I can say.
Thank you for the super.
All right. Alan Horkin, Grace Randolph liked Borderlands. It must be good.
Oh, and for new members, check out the member exclusive videos. We have a Q&A with Paul Feig. His new movie Jackpot is coming out. We've got other Q&As that will be coming up there. Zack Snyder, 1 hour long Q&A about Rebel Moon that you may find interesting. So check that out.
And from Ron Mistars, let's fucking go.
All right. Thanks, Ron. And Razorburn, Chris, give us an update on Dragon Con. It's around the corner. I will give you an update right now. In fact, the Friday of Dragon Con, which is Labor Day weekend, I will be doing a panel. It's at the Westin Hotel. It's called Gore on Horror. My friend Shane Mackey, who is we became really fast friends, actually. He's a comedian in Atlanta, really great friend of mine. I mean, we talk all the time. We're doing a panel Friday. It's August 30th, 4 p.m. at the Westin Peachtree 1 and 2, Gore on Horror, with my friend, comedian Shane Mackey. After the panel is a meetup. So Film Threat meetup. That is the update. I don't know what else to tell you. So there it is. I will promote this and post on the social and community tab and all that stuff, but I am doing that panel. So look for that. Thank you, Razorburn. I will meet you. There. Maybe I'll have some free Film Threat stuff to give away. So there you go.
Yeah.
And let's go. Finally.
Yeah. From a good old Lord Thoth. Like, share, subscribe. Hit that bell for notifications. Sign up as a member. Join us on X, Discord, Rumble, and Instagram. Buy our merch at shop.filmthread.com and hit that like button. I hear if you say it enough.
The shop.
Yeah. Go for it.
It's on fire, dude. Go to shop.filmthreat.com. We have new shirts and new merch that will be launching in September. I am super excited, and but we still have our just there's new things that will be added that will be really cool exclusives you can only get in the shop. So check that out. All right, and last minute came in. Tina Guzman. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, Tina Guzman for 2. Hello, Chris, Alan, and awesome chat. Love the channels.
That's great. Thank you, Tina. Appreciate the support. Okay, we have some news items. We will wait, Chris. Don't be missing like last year. We looked for you everywhere at the Marriott. Okay, Razorburn, you know exactly where to find me when I will be at that panel, and then after we'll hang out. We'll go from the Westin to the Marriott. We'll do the circle, and I have costumes planned. Oh, I have costumes. You are not going to believe it. So I can't wait. Cannot wait.
So is Mr. Fantastic going to make an appearance?
I will make an appearance as Mr. Fantastic.
Very awesome.
It's happening. I'm serious. So here you go.
I love that costume.
All right, let's go. Everyone knows about Robert Downey Jr. playing Dr. Doom in the MCU. He'll appear in an Avengers movie, maybe an FF movie, Fantastic Four. We don't know. But Alan, if you would pull up the story, apparently he turned down a cameo playing Iron Man. I think that was smart. If you would read the story, but before,
sure, well,
very, because if you're gonna do that, you really, really want to save it for a great moment. Alan, please read the story.
All right. Deadpool and Wolverine co-writers Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick revealed in an interview with IndieWire that Robert Downey Jr. was courted to reprise Tony Stark / Iron Man for a cameo in Marvel's latest record-breaking blockbuster. Downey turned the offer down, which now makes sense to the writers as he's returning to Marvel in a larger and shockingly different capacity as Dr. Doom. No one on the Deadpool and Wolverine team knew about Downey's curveball of a return. We wanted him to do a cameo. We had written that scene to start with Happy and Downey, Wernick said. The scene in question is toward the beginning of Deadpool and Wolverine, where Ryan Reynolds, Merc with a Mouth, has used Cable's time machine to jump over the sacred timeline in order to pitch himself for a spot in the Avengers lineup. Deadpool has a meeting with Jon Favreau's Happy Hogan, who rejects him since Deadpool is too self-centered for the Avengers and not just a team player. The original idea for that scene was to also have Downey's Tony Stark in the room.
Wow. It would have got, I just think too soon. If you're going to have Downey come back as Tony Stark, Iron Man, you got to save it for a big moment. As a one-off joke, it would have been wasted. So it was smart move. Would have made that scene a lot better. Maybe they should have had a different cameo, some other Avenger in that cameo, but smart. But it sounds like that the Deadpool, we keep hearing about what things might have happened or things they planned and didn't do. That script went through a lot of changes and they had a lot of options. So I'm curious if they'll show. There is the Cavalrine, Henry Cavill as Wolverine was a much longer scene. It was like a longer scene that occurred. It wasn't a simple joke little cameo. It was a full-on scene with Henry Cavill as Wolverine. So I'm hoping when the Blu-ray comes out, they'll have all the deleted scenes and commentary that will reveal this stuff. But that's pretty awesome. Any thoughts, Alan?
Yeah, I mean, you get it. I mean, it would have been, I don't know that it would have been cool though. I think they did it right, just having Happy Hogan and they made a really good joke about why he wasn't there. But yeah, I mean, if you're sitting on big news like that, it was good on him for not spoiling it and making the choice for the choice that benefited the larger picture.
Right.
All right. We do have some comments.
Let's go.
All right. From English Butchers. It would remind us all how much we miss Iron Man to then be given Dr. Doom. Smart move, in my humble opinion. Man. Benjamin says, I heard they offered Nick Cage to come back as Ghost Rider. Yeah, that's
I
right.
heard that. I heard that too. But that botched cameo with him in Flash was terrible.
Mhm. Well, also, I think Nick Cage might have I think it would have affected the Wesley Snipes appearance. I'm glad he wasn't in there.
I think Wesley Snipes' appearance tells you, why don't they just make the Blade movie?
Mm-hmm.
And what's weird is the age between Mahershala Ali and Wesley is like 10 years. He's only 10. Mahershala is only 10 years younger. It's not like Wesley's old. Freaking make a Blade movie with Wesley. Like that is a check waiting to be cashed.
Yeah. I mean, the word is, make an old man Blade movie.
Yeah.
Luke, from Luke, he was not Downey for a cameo. Alan Harkin, it's better that Deadpool focused on Fox and X-Men films.
Yeah, I agree.
Goober, Downey turned down. Downey down. And Marco CCS 65. Not enough zeros to the end. Not enough zeros to get out of bed.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, interesting. All right, we've got a couple more stories here to get to. So let's go to our next story.
Yes. Yeah, yes. Here we go. I'm just gonna read the Twitter or the X headline here because the article's not gonna say much more than this. But Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, is coming to Max on August 16th after earning $172 million at the worldwide box office this summer. I think there's two things of note here. One is it's coming to Max pretty soon in a week, I believe. And the other is the fact that it only earned $172 million, even though I think critics generally agree it was a not bad movie.
Yeah, I think, I mean, we gave it a positive review. Even Gary from Nerdrotic gave it a positive, but it failed to connect. I think people want a Mad Max movie with Mad Max in it. And that was been the big complaint about this film. And I would argue that Anya Taylor-Joy did a much better version of this character than what's her name? I'm having a
Charlize Theron.
Exactly, Charlize Theron.
Yeah.
I think she was better, but I think the bloated running time, the fact that she's a young Furiosa for the first 40 minutes of the movie was a huge mistake, and that hurt it. But let's look at that number. Let's look at that number carefully. That's less than the Marvels. Marvels got very close to 200.
Mm-hmm.
That is less. That is really, I feel like it's important if you work in Hollywood to make decisions based on data. Sure, you can say with your gut, I think this will be amazing. Alan Ladd famously believed in George Lucas and said, I don't know, I liked American Graffiti. I like this George Lucas guy. I'm going to bet on Star Wars with a $10 million budget, which they shot in 1976. So go with your gut, but you got to go with data, right? And the movies that aren't landing, maybe ignore those and make more of the things that have been a success this year. Like I said, they need to pivot that line oft repeated in boardrooms. Male and pale is stale. Wrong. Male and pale can't fail. Deadpool and Wolverine. Male and pale is money. Dune Part 2. Like, I do think that if you look at the top box office for the year, we have seen some amazing successes just going for traditional things that people like. Seriously. So,
well, I mean, I think this begs the question. If you're making a movie that needs to be a $750 to $1 billion at the box office. Can you bank on a female protagonist, on a female lead, a female action lead? Let's put it that way. I mean, Barbie succeeded. Barbie made $1 billion, but Barbie wasn't an action star.
No,
it wasn't an action movie. It wasn't a movie where the majority of the audience is going to come from men. Look, you can call me misogynistic or not. I'm just kind of going over the facts here. I think people will see Barbie, but they won't see Furiosa with the same vigor and vim.
but Barbie knew its audience.
Mm-hmm.
The Barbie audience was young women and every girl who ever was, affected by, this doll, which many women have been affected by. It brings back member berries, right? I don't begrudge Barbie's success at all. It knew the market, and they made a movie to service that market. Same thing as Oppenheimer really was. I'll start with this. It's the older crowd that likes a serious adult movie. And then people got caught up in the Barbenheimer. Let me share right here. This is from the Rotten Tomatoes website. Top box office for 2024. Let's look at this. Is so far, right?
Right.
So let's take a look at this. You've got Inside Out, number one at 626. They're doing domestic numbers.
Right.
Number two, Deadpool and Wolverine. 3, Despicable Me 4. Dune Part 2. 5, Godzilla X Kong. 6, Twisters. 7, Kung Fu Panda. 8, Bad Boys Ride or Die. 9, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. And 10, A Quiet Place Day One, which I think surprised us all. These are all like solid summer movies, I like some more than others, whatever, but these are blockbuster, audience pleasing films that performed well. Do you see any agenda driven films or lecturing blockbusters? No, zero. In fact, Twisters, I admire the director coming out and saying, we're not doing a climate change message. It's a disaster movie. It's fun. So I'm glad that what's performing is, I think, I didn't love all these movies, but I think that it's deserved.
Yeah, it was all of them knew their audience and decided that they wanted to give their audience a good time. Inside Out 2, it could have easily had the message thrown in there, easily, and it didn't, and it still is the number one box office hit of the summer, and people would say it is definitely not as good as the first one, but it is definitely outperforming the first one.
Well, and Deadpool and Wolverine isn't even done, and either is Inside Out 2 is still in theaters, by the way. So these films will continue to perform, and world box office, D&W, that's not what people are calling it. DP and Wolverine. Okay, that sounds bad. Deadpool and Wolverine is definitely crossing $1 billion. Is it going to do it this weekend? We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, the Olympics.
Look, dude, I was in the big IMAX screen last night for Borderlands. It was nearly empty.
Yeah.
So Borderlands opening night, IMAX, they kicked Deadpool and Wolverine out of that screen, which is the biggest screen they have there, and put it somewhere else. And Borderlands was empty. We'll talk about that.
My theater didn't put Borderlands in the IMAX screen. They kept it at Deadpool and Wolverine.
Well, they were smart.
Yeah.
So cool. All right, let's go to comments real quick here. Go into your comments.
Yes. Okay, here we go. Hayden Chaotic quickly releases on Max. LOL.
I think it says quietly.
Quietly releases on Max. LOL. Patrick Lemire, please retire. Yes. Your wish is our command. From Nexus Video, moving down. Mission Impossible flopped last year, and it was a great movie. Yeah, that one baffles me. That one actually baffles me. But maybe we're tired of 3-hour movies. Hey, guy in his room. Wow, movies are coming out crazy fast for streaming. It's almost like, why bother going to the theater? This is killing theaters even faster. Razorburn. There are only 3 Mad Max movies, as there are only 3 Indiana Jones movies. Tina Guzman for 2. Will they do another Sherlock Holmes movie? Inevitably. Thomas Pickett for 5. Unless you have a comment about that.
And yes, but not with RDJ.
Yeah, there will always be a Sherlock Holmes movie coming out. Thomas Pickett for 5. Think how much the world would be different if THX 1138 was a success.
Well, it was an art film.
It was a short film, wasn't it? Or
well, it started as a short film, then a feature, but it's that movie holds up. It's like Brave New World. It's really good. And the one thing they talk about they do in that film is they give the populace drugs. They get in trouble if they don't take their drugs. It's to keep the population medicated. It's a totalitarian state. Love is banned. It's watch that movie now, THX 1138. It's Isn't
it weird how 60s science fiction all came true? And,
Soylent Green is coming up next.
Yep. Let's see. From Patrick Lemire, Male and Pale will bail out bail your studio out.
Oh, hey, Andrew Cram for 50. Thank you so much. Who's a member? Andrew, thank you. That's very generous. We appreciate the support.
All right. Just give me a second here. I think that films were written for male protagonists should be casted with male protagonists. Thanks for a great good faith conversation, Chris and Alan.
Yeah. Appreciate Andrew. That is great. Thank you.
Thank you. And from Ken Bogus, remember for 24 months, that's 2 years. I like Furiosa more than Fury Road. My fave was the original Max trilogy, was Beyond Thunderdome. Deadpool and Wolverine was fun, but I didn't love it.
Fair enough, Ken. Fair enough.
Yeah. I've seen it 3.5 times so far.
I like Beyond Thunderdome, but Road Warrior is my favorite. It truly is my favorite. All right, one last story today. I will share screen here, and let's talk about it. So, oh shit.
I mean, I have it.
Okay.
Because if you expect me to read that, it's not going to happen.
Okay, you do it then.
Okay. Well, no, I gotta get on my screen now. I can't read what you have there.
All right.
Yeah, there we go.
All right, Alan. Here we go.
Much easier.
Here we go. Wait a sec. Okay, Jamie Lee Curtis asked crew to wear name tags. I don't mind this actually, but the way she couches it is so lame. And to be fair,
let me. Okay.
So when I worked at G4, I used to go in once a week to do DVD Day. I would come in like maybe twice a week. I'd do some other things there, meetings and whatnot. But I was there and I didn't know everybody on the crew. So I get to know, like, here, there's the AD, there's the director. I know this person. I know this producer. I know, of course, the hosts. But I didn't really know everybody on the crew, the art department. I'd have to ask people's names. Kevin Pereira knew everyone's name. He was kind of an irritant and like Bugs Bunny. I mean, in a good way. He kept the show rolling, right? And he knew his role off camera. The sweetest, most humble, nice guy who knew everyone's name. And I didn't. Now, to be fair, I wasn't full time. I was there a couple days a week and I wasn't there for a whole day. But so I understand from her perspective when you have a big film crew of like 200 people. I mean, to be with Attack of the Show was like maybe 40 people, 50 with freelancers and whatnot. But I get this, but the way she couches it is weird. Alan, if you would read the story, Jamie Lee Curtis asked crew to wear name tags.
All right.
Explain.
So Jamie Lee Curtis revealed on Kevin Hart's Sirius XM podcast Good Minds that she asked film crews to wear name tags so that everyone remains equal on her set and on her film and television sets. The Oscar winner and current Emmy nominee for The Bear said that her aim is to dispel the hierarchy that inherently exists on sets between actors and the crew, since everyone knows the actors' names in most cases. There's something really uneven about our position on a set on a movie in this arena, Curtis told Hart. You guys know our names. We don't know yours. That's something inequitable to me about that. There's something inequitable to me about that on a movie set. If we were all working together, we would all be wearing name tags so that tomorrow when we came in, I would be able to say to them, to then say, "Good morning, Sabine," without even blank thought, because I've learned her name. I read that bad.
So this was on the set of Borderlands. The way she puts it, it's like an equity thing, an equality. Like,
yeah.
The thing is, that's on her to learn people's names, right? Like, it's on her to like learn the people's names on a set. And I told you my situation.
Yeah.
And, I would get to know people, but to be fair, I was there, I was not full-time at G4. I was a part-time employee, so with her, it's this intense months-long shoot. And if it matters to her, I guess, she can't be, I mean, everybody knows her name, right? But
right.
She's just the way
What's the wording? It's the wording. It's this word inequitable. When she or anyone uses the word inequitable in this context, it's an automatic admission that she is in the higher class and the crew is in the lower class.
Right.
And that she in the higher class, to be inequitable or to bring equity, will now lower herself to the level of the minions and the underlings. That's the way it reads. Rather than she could easily have said, we're all human beings. We're all here for a job. We're all here as a team to make this movie together. And so therefore, I want to know your name. And if she is like me, I am horrible with names, and name tags would be the greatest thing ever. And so for me to know you as a person, a name tag would be nice. The smallest thing you could do so that I can address you by your name and not by, hey, I forgot your name. What was your name again? So my point is, just to bring up the word inequitable just says that she already sees herself as a higher class than the rest of the crew.
Exactly. And to be fair, I am like you. I am bad with names. I know faces. I'm like, hey. And I did years ago. I knew Sam Raimi back when he was in Michigan. He was this famous local filmmaker. He was super nice. Sam Raimi lent me a camera when I was in college to make a 16 millimeter movie. And I met him many times at Rob Tappert. They had a small office in Ferndale on 9 Mile Avenue. And I had an office on like 11 Mile. And they were really cool. Sam Raimi is famously bad with names, but he knows people. So his trick was just to say, hey, pal, hey, buddy. He would just say, pal. He'd say, oh, I recognize you. Hey, pal. But he wouldn't always get names right. But I don't think Sam Raimi ever put himself above anybody. But his solution was just to acknowledge people and say, hey, hey, pal, hey, buddy. He always did that. That I mean, whatever. But the way she couches it is like a weird sort of, I don't know. But I do like Jamie Lee Curtis a lot. But lately she's said some horribly weird things.
Well, it is election season, by the way.
Hey, wait, give her some credit. We'll talk about Borderlands later. Her cleavage is on point.
It's been on point for a very long time.
Her cleavage is on point. So,
I remember my birth. It was my birthday. I was underage, and I wanted to see Trading Places so bad. And my cousin, for my birthday, took me to see Trading Places, And thank you, Jamie Lee Curtis.
There is a topless scene with Jamie Lee Curtis in Trading Places.
Yes. And it is glorious.
Well,
It's
there
fabulous.
you go.
It is fabulous. Just to piggyback on all this, it's like, I love meetups. I love going to meetups, and we have fortunately been able to have 2 big Film Threat meetups. And it's funny because it's like I know everyone's chat name, but I have zero connection with the face.
Yeah.
Like I just met I met Master of the TDS at the last one, and I forgot his real name, but all I know him as is Master of the TDS. But at least now I know what he looks like.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to comments here.
Yes. Razorburn boomers. That's right. That's us trying to read articles online. Thomas Pickett, you can make an argument. We all should wear name tags. It might help us communicate more. Yeah.
To be fair, I actually have, like, when I worked on cars, I have coveralls,
and
I have some like motorcycle jackets, and they have like a shop, like a repair shop.
Yeah.
I've got my name tags on it.
Says Gore.
I have coveralls. Because I would work when you work on cars, you get under the car and you put the coverall over your clothes, and I have name tags on all of them.
Yes. All right. From Jillian Seed 83, DV Doomsday. That's how I discovered the great Gore. DV Doomsday forever. Yeah.
Thank you.
That was me as well.
83.
Me as well. All right. Benjamin, Chris. Chris would order interns around with coffee orders. That's
Actually,
right.
I would not do that. And I was embarrassed that I had like a dressing room with my name on it. I was so embarrassed by that. It was weird.
Okay, Patrick Lemire, the ability to remember everyone's name is a superpower. Yeah,
I agree.
It is.
It's probably the one superpower that politicians have.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm bad at it.
Yeah. I do have a book called Power Memory that teaches you how to do that, and it is not easy. One Punch Man, Tolkien fan, member for 9 months. There are only 2 movies I love this year so far: Furiosa and Dune Part 2. That is it.
Fair.
If you could see those movies 100 more times, they would thank you for that. Harry Anders for 100 Swedish krona. Mail and Frank and Alan and No Mercy equals a great Friday. Hope you are having a great summer. A random memory. I really like Roy Scheider in Blue Thunder. Gonna try to take that film on DVD. To find that film on DVD. Hail. Believe there's nudity in that one too. Andrew Cram, member for 6 months. As long as I don't have to wear pronouns on my tag. Also, I hate being called buddy. Oh well.
Well, also there's Chief. Hey, Chief. Hey, Chief. That's what my grandfather would say. He'd say, hey, Chief. He would just say that to everybody. So there you go. All right. Let's pivot. We have a lot of reviews, so we need a palate cleanser. I can't, because these aren't labeled, I can't see what these are. Alan, you gotta like, okay, that's not that.
Yeah, if I had time,
you label.
I was busting my ass all morning because I had
Here's what will help me. Label the names. Just name it real quick. Then I'll just see it.
You know how hard it is to get picture
every time. Yeah, it's called show prep. How do you think I line up the interviews and do all this other stuff?
Yeah. And I do nothing. I have a website to run.
I'm not
you know how
nothing. I'm not saying you do nothing. I'm saying help us. I'm trying to help us. I love that video.
We are the most produced show on the internet.
Oh God. Okay, before we review Borderlands, I'm going to review a quick film. We'll start with this.
Okay.
Good One.
Okay, give me a second here.
Good One is directed. Are you ready, Alan?
Yeah, I gotta hit a bunch of buttons here.
Well, there you go. It's all
Yeah.
good, man.
And there we go. Do it.
Let's talk about Good One. It is directed by India Donaldson. This movie was actually at the Sundance Film Festival, the most recent Sundance. It's about a young woman named Sam, played by Lily Collins, who's going on an outing with her dad. They're going camping in the woods. Her father, Chris, played by James LaGrosse, and his buddy Matt, played by Danny McCarthy, are going to go off on an adventure in the woods. So they're grabbing their camping gear, their tents, and they're going off in the great outdoors. And it's about all the uncomfortable moments spent with her dad and her dad's friend. There's a moment where her father's friend, Matt, kind of overtly says he wishes he could cuddle with her for heat because he forgot his sleeping bag. Of course, Sam is offended by this, but she suppresses her anger. And it's all about the subtle conversations, the subtle indignities, these subtle, just little emotional tete-a-tete between Sam and her father's buddy off on this trip. It's sweet. It's a tribute to the director. This was like a kind of a tribute to her dad. Just shows that like these are not necessarily bad men, but they're men that may not be aware that what they're doing is making, well, this young woman feel very uncomfortable. It's a what I would call a standard movie that you would see at Sundance. Great subtle character moments. It's also not for everyone because it is kind of slow moving. And it's what you would call earnest. And whenever I see in a program guide a description of a movie, it says it's earnest. That's usually one I tend to avoid. But so I can't really recommend this movie. I just say it was fine. In fact, we have the Q&A with the director in our members area there. So I enjoyed it while I saw it, but I recognize this is not like, it's not like a change your life indie movie. But it also, what's weird about this film, the one really positive thing I can say, it made me want to go camping. I was like, I'm not a huge fan of camping. And I thought, well, that could be really fun. The lead, the actress who plays Sam is very good. And James LaGrosse, I've always liked. I didn't recognize him. He's obviously older. His hair is different. And he was very good. So it's I guess it's weird. It's like maybe a mild recommend if you like this kind of film, but I wouldn't recommend it to everyone. So it's borderline, like a 5 for me.
Is this a foreign film?
No, US.
US film? Okay.
Yeah. And it was at the recent Sundance.
Yeah.
So make of that what you will. It's out in theaters this weekend. So there's some movies we're definitely going to give 100% not recommend. So if you're at the theater, you see what's on the marquee, there are other choices out there. And this is one of those, it hits the marks of what makes a good indie movie, but I recognize this one may not be for everyone. I do like, it doesn't see, it had an opportunity to go really hard anti-men, and it doesn't do that. It shows that maybe guys say some things they may not be aware of that could make a young woman uncomfortable, but they weren't intending. There wasn't like malice behind it.
So she doesn't, well, I was gonna say she doesn't wind up killing him, but
well, no,
I don't know.
It's just
I know. The reason I ask if it's a foreign film or not is because I saw a similar film like this at South by Southwest, but it was Spanish, from Spain, and what I remarked, what got me about it was the fact that we view toxic masculinity very differently in the United States than the rest of the world, and so when they did the intro to that movie, it was toxic masculinity. Right. When you watch the movie, you realize no, it's really not about toxic masculinity. I think it's what the person who wrote the synopsis read into the movie, because
That's
I don't
exactly
think
right.
the rest of the world sees things the way we see things, especially in the area of toxic masculinity.
But it's not about that. These are
Yeah.
like good dudes, you know. They're just
Mhm.
also like men, especially when they get together where there's only men. They run into another group of guys that are camping in the woods, and they kind of bond with them and goof with them. And guys say stuff that, you know, no intention to hurt.
Mhm.
But they'll say things in the company of men, and you know, she's the sole woman on the trip. And you know, it's like the kind of eye rolling that your daughter does when dad does something stupid,
Yeah.
which happens every day, right,
Yeah.
Alan?
Well, especially when dad goes to Comic-Con and drags her along.
Exactly. All right, let's go to comments if there
All
are
right.
any. Oh god, there's a lot
Yeah,
of
there are some Borderland comments that came in, so you want to
save the Borderland comments.
Yeah.
So
okay, from Carnal, member for a month. Hey gents, happy Friday. I too was a fellow avid DV Doomsday watcher back in the aughts. Always good to see both Alan and Chris hail.
thank you, Carnell. Always love your comments and appreciate you becoming a member.
All right, for Box Office Brawler for $4.99. Glad I caught this live. I'm wearing my Army Green Film Threat shirt at this very moment. My dad and I love the show. Chris is the man. I love Alan too. Thank you very much.
You know what? I love Alan too. Thank you, Box Office Brawler.
They look
Appreciate
cool.
you.
And yes, our shirts are custom made. You can get them in any color you want. A guy in his room. Yay! Another movie about a young woman. Oh,
Well, I mean,
the
like,
show's not over yet.
yeah, get ready. Get ready.
Okay, John Odom, and still she persisted. The movie, yeah, somehow survived it. Our own Charmin member for 3 months. Thank you for that, Chris. Is that Detective Comics 27 back there?
It is. It's a reproduction, and I love it. It's reproduced with the ads, the original ads, and I have others that are reproduced, so I love those. I would love to see someone do an article on like what was Detective Comics number 26 or what was Amazing Fantasy number 14. You know, like the first appearances of all these classic legendary characters. What was the comic that preceded their comic? Amazing Fantasy 14, of course, in number 15, first appearance of Spider-Man. So yeah, that is it. I just put it up there because why not? By the way, I change my set a lot. If you pay attention, there's always little small changes. So thanks, Aaron. Thanks for being a member.
Yeah, there's some small changes there. Okay. From Sly Jester, maybe if it says Ernest goes to camp. Dr. Certifiable for 2. Ernest goes to jail was my favorite. Are we talking about Ernest for some reason? All right, and then to the last one, Box Office Brawler for $4.99. Also wanted to mention that I made a promotion for Film Thread in my community tab on my channel, showing off my appreciation and inspiration from you too.
Oh, appreciate that. That's awesome. Yeah, I care about this audience because I am also an audience to other channels. And so we appreciate you a lot. It's always fun to be able to meet everybody in person. So if you're going to Dragon Con, I'll be there. Krizik, we have a comment from you. It's about Borderlands. I'm saving it. So don't go away. Let's go to another movie. Alan, how about you review something? Then we'll get to Borderlands at the top of the hour.
Okay, here we go. This will be a fun one. Let's talk about The Firing Squad, which is in theaters now. I talk a lot about Christian faith-based movies, and I've mentioned over the last year or so, the ones we've been reviewing have been pretty good. It is elevated itself from what I remember Christian movies being from the 80s. And The Firing Squad brings me back to the 80s and bad Christian faith movies. Let me grab the... So the story is basically this. James Barrington plays Peter Lone. He's a guy who kind of bored with life and decides he's going to get into drug dealing. And so he's an international drug dealer. And the one thing is that he's just pushing the crime a little bit too far, and he winds up doing dealings in Indonesia and gets caught. And in Indonesia, the punishment for drug dealing is death. And so he is caught, and he is thrown in jail, and he is given the death penalty. And while in prison, he tries to escape with his buddies, his brother, who's not in this picture, but also with Cuba Gooding Jr. They run off, escape the prison, but they are caught and thrown in solitary confinement. And while in solitary confinement, another drug dealer, now reformed person, Pastor Lindbrook, played by Kevin Sorbo, hands him a Bible. And during his time in solitary confinement, he reads the Bible and becomes saved. And what this movie is really about is about men who are in this international prison, treated horribly, ready to go to the death penalty, and here for Peter to find Christ and gain that confidence that when he is going to be executed, he's going to go to a better place. This movie, like I said, pretty reminiscent of my early days of Christian faith-based movies. It's not good. Ultra low budget, and this is very ultra low budget. Acting, I think, you've got Kevin Sorbo and Cuba Gooding Jr. They're okay, but not even they could uplift a bad script. It's very heavy-handed. A lot of the discussions at the beginning of the movie was, oh, I don't believe in God. I'm an atheist. Oh, God this, God that. And then it's like, oh, I read the Bible, John 3:16. Now I'm saved. And, God has a plan for your life. It's just very heavy-handed, very, very much like that. Look, as a Christian myself, I believe God can work through anything. God could work through this movie. When I was growing up, there was a movie called A Thief in the Night, which was about the rapture. And I know at least 12 of my friends who got saved from that movie. And then when I saw that movie, I was like, how the hell did you get saved by this movie? So God can use anything. And in the case of the Firing Squad, only God can get you saved from watching this movie. So, I can't give it a recommendation. There are better movies. I would say the person who does faith-based movies the best is Dallas Jenkins. I would watch his stuff, but it's a matter of taste. And again, God could speak through an ass. Why not be able to speak through this movie? So there you go.
Yeah, I saw the trailer for this and it looked terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it looked very heavy-handed. And I'm not opposed to faith-based. Just make a good movie first, and then God can kind of be there subtly underneath. Yeah. I think a movie that does that well, which is not considered a faith-based film, is M. Night's Signs.
Mm-hmm.
M. Night Shyamalan's Signs is it's got a message of faith in the movie, but no one considers that movie a faith film. It's science fiction, and it's an M. Night movie.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
weirdly, I hear people say that that Groundhog's Day is a faith film.
I didn't really think of that.
Well, it's kind of like, what is? I've asked this question many times, but what is the movie you've seen that has nothing to do with God and religion, but has the best Christian message? And most people come up with Groundhog Day. Just a story of redemption, basically. Redemption over time.
Let's go to comments here, starting with Knee Pain. Hey,
Knee Pain. Knee Pain gifted 5 film Knee Pain gifted 10 film thread memberships.
And thank you to Knee Pain, who was playing Shadows of the Empire on Nintendo 64, which brought back a flood of memories. And he's doing live streams and commenting on stuff. Knee Pain, subscribe to him. Thank you, Knee Pain.
All right, Nerd Far Away. I've already heard good reviews for The Firing Squad. I want to try and get to the theater for this one. Because the mainstream reviewers are not reviewing The Firing Squad. And
they don't. I don't know why they don't review faith movies. If it's a movie in theater, I think you're kind of obligated. It's in the market. Tell people what you think.
Yeah, well, I mean, look what they did to Sound of Freedom. Not only did they not watch it, they criticized it without watching it. Bumpy Johnson, men comforting other men. Any shower scenes?
Alan?
No, there were no shower scenes. Mike MC Wong preaches way too hard, and being set in Indonesia, where it's near 90% Muslim, it seemed most were atheists or Christian, amazingly bad. Yeah.
Well, that's a fair point.
No, I mean, look, the intention is there. Yeah, whoever wrote this, he wanted to do good. Unfortunately, he's not a filmmaker.
Let's do one more review before we get to Borderlands at the top of the hour. I want to hear this one, Alan.
Which one? Oh, yeah, here we go.
This, because I did not see this, but I am interested in Girl, You Know It's True. Girl, You Know It's True. It's about Milli Vanilli.
Yes.
Alan, what is this? It's on Roku. Am I right?
I think so. It's somewhere. But you've been waiting for it. It is finally here. The Milli Vanilli biopic, Girl, You Know It's True. It is the full and complete story of the Milli Vanilli saga. Basically, we have a producer. Sorry, let me get my thing here. Okay, we have a producer, Frank Farian, who is a well-known producer in England and Germany. Many hits, but he's never been able to break the American market. He sees two dancers performing behind a popular singer and thinks to himself, hey, I think I could turn these guys into something big. Basically, he's there to make stars. He's not there to create singers or create dancers. He wants to make stars. And these two guys, Fabrice and Rob, are, they have the look. And he takes the song, remixes it, and it's the song Girl, You Know It's True. And instantly these guys become a hit. They grow in Germany, and soon that catches the eye of Europe, and then finally to America. And while in America, many things happen. One is Clive Davis is interested in them, and Clive basically lures them away from Frank, and makes him a much bigger star than these two were able to manage or handle. And yep.
Big question. Is it a doc or a narrative?
It's a narrative.
Okay. And then does it get into how because I actually think they're infamous.
Yes.
Because of the controversy. And here's what's ironic, about the controversy with Milli Vanilli. There are people on TikTok becoming more famous than Milli Vanilli for doing what ended Milli Vanilli's career, which is lip syncing, dance moves, and whatnot. So,
yeah,
this is crazy.
Yeah. So this movie is essentially the true story. I'll say this: many of the key players in this movie are producers in the movie, whether they were actually involved or they were given the title. It is their story from their perspective, which I'll say is a fair perspective. I think they're trying to be as open and honest about what happened. It's basically two guys who caught a break, and fame overtook them, and they went too far. They fell right away when they came to America. They fell into drugs. They fell into groupies. They just couldn't handle being able to. They couldn't handle being able to manage the success that they were getting, and what wound up happening, and of course this is the music business, and so what wound up happening is along their career, as they're being passed off from one manager to the next, people were demanding their piece of the pie, and soon it just imploded, and it imploded at the Grammys when they won Best New Artist. And both, mostly Rob, felt guilty about the fact that they're phonies, and that they really wanted to sing their own songs. The problem is Rob could sing decently, Fabrice couldn't sing at all, and so you just see this kind of downfall of it. And and I think they do, for the most part, they do an earnest job of trying to tell the story as openly and honestly as possible, and so, I agree with you in the case of Girl, You Know It's True. I would much rather have wanted to see a documentary than a dramatization about it. Fabrice.
To be fair, Fabrice went on to have a spray that freshens your clothes.
Yeah.
So Fabrice did well in the end.
Yeah.
I don't think people understand. This is why a doc would probably be better. They were a phenomenon.
Yeah.
I never bought Milli Vanilli. I never purposely tried to hear their song. I heard that song 1,000 times because it was on the radio. It was playing at the mall speakers. It was everywhere.
Yeah. Oh,
it was so popular. They were huge. They were overnight success and enormous.
Yeah. Let's remember there was a time a long time ago when MTV played music videos.
Right.
And Milli Vanilli came in at the right time when they were doing it. And that, once they got on MTV and once they started doing MTV events, there was sky's the limit at this point. And let me see, what was it is tragic because Fabrice he wound up dying of a drug overdose. He just it was the lifestyle he loved, and he couldn't get enough of it, and it eventually killed him. And so a lot of the movie is basically dedicated to him. As a film itself, it's very standard when it comes to a biopic. Each scene has to drop some kind of nugget about Milli Vanilli and their life, about what happened. It is directed by Simon Verhoeven, who is actually the son of Paul, the grandson of Paul, I should say. And I guess this is his one of his breaks to start making movies. It's done fairly well, but it's very standard when it comes to sorry, I just saw that comment. It's very standard when it comes to a biopic.
Don't get distracted, Alan. Stay focused.
All
right. So do you recommend?
Yes, it is Rob who died. I'm sorry. It is Rob who died, not Fabrice.
Do you recommend Girl, You Know It's True?
I found it interesting. I'll say it that way. If you are curious about the life of Milli Vanilli, yeah, go see it. But it's not something I would say definitely go out and see this one. It is a phenomenon, and it really lays it out. But it certainly could have been done better.
I would rather see the documentary, and that's that. So, okay, let's go to comments.
Yes, Milli Vanilli 2, Blame It on the Rain.
From Marco CCS65.
Yes. Sky Jester, who did the audio sync for this movie? Yeah, it's very good.
Sky Jester.
It's very good. Tertiary, the sound editor should get top billing. Benjamin, when is Haktua biopic?
By the way, the Haktua girl was on the Bill Maher podcast on YouTube.
Yeah, I think there's a fight for her from a political fight for the girl to see which side she's going to land on. Jazzy Jizzy Johnson for 499. I live in Texas, and we have a local drive-in that has been in operation for 60 plus years. It is my preferred theater experience.
Nice. I love drive-ins. All right, let's get to the main movie. We have, by the way, Alan, we have so many other movies to review. Let's do 10 minutes on Borderlands and about 5 minutes each for these other movies. It ends with us. I have a lot to say about it, and we will probably do a spoiler review of it because it needs to be discussed.
Yeah.
So we have a lot. We have like maybe 40 minutes to plow through a lot of reviews. So thank you, the more than 2,000 people sticking with us right now watching. And I'm going to give you a gift right now. Link in the description for the Patek Follies of 1939. Free tickets if you use the offer code BAT100. It is the last weekend this weekend. This is at the Montalban Theater in Hollywood. Go, the link for tickets is in the description of this show. Atomic Glory is adding it now. Use BAT100, free tickets. They are going fast. I love to do giveaways on the show. I love giveaways. I love them.
Yep. And it will never be seen again after this weekend.
Yeah, no, after this, it's over. All right. Borderlands is in theaters. It is based on the popular video game series Borderlands, of which I've only played the first game. I'm aware that there were 2 more. It was fine. You know, your adventure shooter action game with sort of goofy over the top, like punk rock, weird style, sort of a wasteland, a colorful version of the wasteland. This is directed by Eli Roth, who, when he's discussed the movie, he said he wanted to make it a little bit of Fifth Element, a little of this, a little Road Warrior. It's a mishmash. And the movie has really an amazing cast with Kevin Hart, Gina Gershon showing her amazing cleavage, Jamie Lee Curtis showing
Not
her
showing her.
amazing cleavage, Kate Blanchett, very sexy. I will give the movie credit. The female characters are allowed to be sexy. Bobby Lee has an interesting cameo, and this is the simple story is that Tiny Tina, played by Ariana Greenblatt, she's the key to everything. She is the key to opening the vault on Pandora. She literally, physically is the key. Her father puts out like a bounty on her. So Kate Blanchett, who plays Lilith is out to find her and eventually open the vault. And we don't know what's in it, but it's an amazing reward, so to speak. So a lot of mystery until we get to the end. In my opinion, no surprises. This is by the numbers. It is not just a bad video game movie. It's a bad movie. And I like Eli Roth. He is a true fan. Cabin Fever was his debut movie at South by Southwest. I saw it. I love that film. His movie last year, Thanksgiving, was really fun. A Thanksgiving holiday themed horror movie. This is a mess. It's also PG-13, and it feels like this should have been R-rated. It really should have been R-rated, but I found it the dialogue might be the worst dialogue in a movie this year. I am not exaggerating. It's bad. And I feel like there's a movie Eli wanted to make that the studio, which is Lionsgate, was like, yeah, you're not going to make that movie. Just check these boxes and move on. Now, it's not particularly, there's no message. It's not woke. It's just standard action and a bad version of it. I really was like, when is this movie going to end? And by the way, I saw this in IMAX at the big theater at AMC Burbank, where no matter what's playing in that theater is always 100% sold out on opening night. I've seen Twisters there, Dune Part 2, Deadpool. I mean, I've seen all the big movies that open. I always see it in that theater in IMAX. It's full, even for the dumbest thing like Beekeeper, right? It was empty for this. I looked, you could go to see Borderlands anytime. No one is going to see this. No one is excited. I mean, the one thing I'll give it credit for, sexy women, and it's accurate to the look of Borderlands. There's the robot who plays the robot.
Jack Black.
Yeah. So there's the robot in the film, Claptrap. He was accurate to the game. Lilith, her look was accurate. But Lilith, I mean, Kate Blanchett's like in her 50s playing a 20-year-old. Jamie Lee Curtis is in her 70s playing a 30. It's a little weird. Although it didn't bug me. I think Kate Blanchett is very.
Yeah,
I
she
think
looked
she's
good in the
sexy.
movie.
But
She
what
looked
is
good in the movie.
she's an Oscar winner. What is she doing in this? The paycheck should have been. I mean, had to be crazy. But yeah, I cannot. I mean, this is a 2 out of 10 at best. I mean, the audience did not laugh once. There's maybe a chuckle. It's so over the top, so trying to please you with its awfulness. I can't say enough bad things about this movie. avoid at all costs. Alan, what did you think of Borderlands?
Yeah, it was bad. I
Yeah,
I haven't played the game. I
I have.
assume I assume it look. I mean, it looks like at least
It looks like the
the
game.
posters. Yeah.
But
I
looking accuracy is not good enough. And I don't know if looking at the Borderlands franchise, this movie has been announced like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
We're making a
Well,
Borderlands game.
Look,
We
I'll
didn't
say
need
this:
this movie.
the world was more interesting than most video game movies. I like
Right.
the world it was set in, so you can make a good Borderlands movie. The problem is that every single character there's no character arc. The people who started the characters at the beginning of the movie were exactly the same at the end of the movie, with an exception, which I'll get to in a moment. So it's basically this whole movie was about moving from one action set piece to the next. There was no, you just other than the overarching story of protecting the girl there, Tiny Tina. That was pretty much what the movie was about, protecting this girl from her dad. Very standard. Claptrap, yeah, cute robot. Never seen that in a movie before.
Right.
So the other thing is, this is like the Love Boat, where you watch the movie because of its stars, and pretty much for no other reason. Hey, Kevin Hart movie. Okay, let's go see a Kevin Hart movie. Let's go see a Jamie Lee Curtis movie. Let's go see a Kate Blanchett movie. And that's what we got. We got to see our favorite older age stars be in an action movie and be funny. One of the biggest problems, two of them. The first of the biggest problems is none of these characters are likable.
Yes.
They're tolerable, but there's no reason set up at the beginning of the movie that says, hey, I want to follow this person's journey. I care about where they ultimately end up. Tiny Tina is cute. That's not good enough reason for me to want to see a good outcome or a great outcome for her by the end. She's just this annoying teenager. The second thing is, you say it's not woke. It is okay. It's not woke, but it has a message. It has a message that has been bothering us for a very long time. Those of us who have been following Marvel, Star Wars, the message in this movie is the exact same message as Captain Marvel. The power was in her the whole time.
Oh gosh.
The power was in her the whole time. That's true here. The upside to that message is the fact that it is not tied to anything woke, meaning the power being in her the whole time. It wasn't suppressed because of toxic masculinity. It was just in her the whole time and needed to be unlocked. There was nothing woke about the reason it was suppressed. It was just suppressed, which, quite frankly, I wish there was a reason, even if it was woke, for it being suppressed. So the story is just A leads to B, leads to C, leads to D. It's just boring and bland. It's your typical action movie with big stars. It is not good. And I'll be honest, I wanted to like this movie. And I would say in the first 15 minutes, I was like, I don't get why people don't like this movie. And then as it just kept droning on and on and on, I understood it's just boring. It is boring.
This movie should have gone direct to streaming.
Mm-hmm.
It's that level of bad. And I don't even know if I could fold laundry while watching it because it's annoying, especially Claptrap. I mean, it's not like Madam Web was bad, but Madam Web was in its badness was so fun because it was ridiculous. I remember it's like, this movie's awful. Why am I having fun and laughing? Because it's so bad. There are no laughs in this movie, not even from it being awful. So
there's one reason why Madam Web is better than this movie. It's Sydney Sweeney. At least something to go back to when you were feeling bored. And this movie just doesn't have it. I mean, everyone looks good, fine. It's just dreadful. And I'll say this, because it's Lionsgate, I'm pretty sure this movie didn't cost more than $100 million.
Yes.
So, I don't know what the payoff was for these guys, but it definitely wasn't a big one.
Yeah. All right. let's go to your comments. Wait, finally, do you recommend it, Borderlands?
No.
It's a 2 out of 10 for me. And when I say I'm only giving it 2 for all the cleavage, that's why this gets, and because the women were allowed to be sexy, even though, I mean, some may be. I think Kate Blanchett looks great. I would.
She looked good. She looked good.
She looked really good. So there you go. What did you think, Alan?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it on Wednesday. As an older man, yeah, seeing an older woman looking good, yeah, it feels attainable at some point. And,
All right.
by
both.
the way, did you see what happened with the Rotten Tomatoes score?
No.
So yesterday was at 0 all day, and then finally Grace Randolph's review came in and bumped it to 4%.
4%. and she even admitted it. So
yeah.
I you know what? I watched Grace Randolph. I want to know what a normal person thinks of movies.
So why are you going to Grace Randolph?
Exactly. All right, let's go to your comments here.
All right, Chrisick's been waiting a long time for this one. For 20, was at the Borderlands with both Randy Pitchford and Ari Arad. Both had hopes it would do well. That said, I know given my personal experience with our studio's work, this film will not land for everyone. Yeah,
Well,
this is not landing for anyone.
I'll be right back, Alan. I'll be right back.
Okay, knee pain for 5. Alan's yes video can only stop when you put it on a t-shirt. Yeah, Chris. Lori. Yes, 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 yes. I think we're ready for the t-shirt. Benjamin, Eli Roth should have stayed in horror. That's the thing that confounded me the most. How is it that Eli Roth wrote and directed this movie and it turned out like this? You would at least think there'd be some subtext that he can latch onto and build upon, but there wasn't even that. Lord Wahoo, literally everyone was miscast. No one was chosen well for the characters. The reality is that big names, movies are greenlit off of big names, and that's what we have here. Ryan Landis, Chris is one of 34 people who have seen this. All right, Davina Duckworth, geriatric Borderlands. Oliver Lavery Farag, I haven't laughed so hard since Madam Web. Okay. Chrisick for 10. Hey, Alan. Alan, that power message is tied to the game, at least in the first one. There's lore that explains it, but we did a bad job putting that over. Yeah. I have more to say about that power message, but I won't go into it because it's going to derail things. Macro CCS65. I need Chris Gore's list of laundry movies. LOL.
There's more like laundry Netflix series. You put a series on Netflix and you're doing household things. It's on in the background, but you're not watching it. That's a lot of shows on Netflix.
It's the Korean dramas for you, right?
Yeah, I love Korean dramas. Extraordinary Attorney Woo, which is a Korean drama about an autistic lawyer from in Korea. I love that show. That's a laundry show. So that's number 1 on the list.
Edwin for 5. Rubbing your stink on an already successful IP to make your mark rarely works out. Eli Roth failed hard. Yeah, I don't understand how he could be so involved in this movie and to have it turn out like this.
Well, it is what it is. All right, let's pivot. Dude, it's not even worth talking about more. That's how bad it is.
Yeah.
Let's go to another, Alan. What else? What can you review? And then I'll do a review.
I think I'm all done, except for It Ends With Us. So you want to do Cuckoo?
Wait, Sugarcane? Firing Squad? Did you see Firing Squad?
Yeah, we already talked about it.
That's right. Twilight of the Warriors?
Nope.
Running on Empty?
Nope.
Sugarcane?
I tried Dance First, and I couldn't get through it.
I saw the trailer.
Not
get through it.
It's not for me.
Cool.
You saw Cuckoo, though.
Let's talk about Cuckoo.
All right, let me here we go.
Let's talk about Cuckoo. It's about a young woman Gretchen. She's 17. She has gone with her family to the Alps, and by family meaning her father, who is remarried to a younger woman who has a daughter, which she doesn't. Gretchen, this is not my sister. It's my father's daughter. She's does not really care about having a relationship with this young girl. Young girl is having some problems. She might have epilepsy. She has an episode, and Gretchen is bored. She's bored at this resort in the Alps. So she's given a job by this guy who runs the resort. He owns the resort, named Herr Koenig, played by Dan Stevens. And Herr Koenig gives her a job working the front desk at his hotel. She's also bored at the hotel, this 17-year-old girl. She plays music. Listen, she's kind of weird. She's very strange. But strange things are afoot at this resort. Strange things are afoot. People in the night. She decides to, leave work early, rides on her bike, and she gets chased by a crazy woman. And who is this crazy woman? Why is she pursuing her? She keeps having Gretchen has a series of accidents where she injures herself. She gets cut in the head. She falls. She's prone to injury. She takes off with a young woman who she's attracted to leave because she's bored. And then they get in a car accident. Nothing seems to make sense. There's an air of weirdness about this. And in my mind, it's like an attempt to capture a David Lynch like strangeness because nothing unfolds in a normal way. It escalates into an insane. I don't even know. I don't even know. I won't tell you exactly, but it's like an insane cat and mouse game at the end involving firearms. This is the vaguest way I can put it. Now, I love movies that are weird for weird's sake. This movie does not pull it off at all. And I saw Borderlands and I saw this movie and I was like 0 for 2. I like movies that are strange or take risks and get weird. But Dan Stevens is so over the top. Like it's the characters are like, I don't understand their motivations. There's a strange, the young girl, the girl that is her sister, but she won't call her a sister, has some power. Nothing is explained. Nothing makes sense. There's like I say, cat and mouse at the end that whatever. You could explain it. You could go, well, this means this. And they classify it as a horror mystery, but it doesn't even achieve what either one of those, what you would expect from a good horror film or a mystery or even a David Lynch film. So I was left just like the movie ended. I got up and walked right out. The entire audience was silent. No applause, no reaction. Even if you watched the trailer, I defy you to tell me what the movie is. They're trying to promote it as a horror film. It is not. It's not. It has elements of horror. It has elements of a mystery, but nothing that really comes together. So I cannot recommend Cuckoo.
Cuckoo.
Cuckoo is a 4 out of 10. The lead actress who is very good, Gretchen. Like there are good elements. Dan Stevens is weird as the owner of the resort. But wow, did this movie land like a thud? I can't recommend it at all. So pass on Cuckoo. Let's go to comments here.
Yeah. I have nothing to say. It's Rumble from Rumble. Mitznave for one. I heard Roth didn't actually direct as he had to off and work another project, or is Degenerate J incorrect? I have no idea. I mean, he's credited as director. I assume he was the director. Brock Samsonite. It's not Cuckoo. It's Cuckoo.
No, I think that is the spelling of cuckoo, actually.
Yeah,
There
yeah,
you
I
go.
believe so. Yeah. Benjamin, the Cocoa Puff story. Mike MC Wong. I don't understand why the horror fans like Cuckoo. Too many illogical and ridiculous things happened. Herr Koenig's awful random recorder playing having an actual effect on Monster Woman. Wow. Red Frenchman, Jessica Henwick. I know it's not her on the pic. That's something about her that I find interesting. But she's a very beautiful woman. But in the last few movies she's in, they either make her look plain or make her look ugly.
Yeah, they made her ugly in this. She's like an awkward girl.
Okay, it's a shame. The Nerd Far Away. I never recommend Poo Poo.
Well, there you are.
Yeah, that wraps up that one.
Yeah. All right, our special guest is waiting in the wings. Unfortunately, we're not starting the interview until 10:40 a.m. So if you want to hang out and come back, but
actually, maybe we could do it now and then do it ends with us afterwards.
Okay, yeah, let's do that now. Neil, you ready?
You ready?
Give me a thumbs up, Neil.
Okay.
All right. Let's do this then. Okay. Well, Alan, let's remove that. I know what we're doing. We're professionals here. Duchess, the new action movie from director Neil Marshall. He's here to talk about the film Duchess, and let's get him on the show because he's been very patient. So here we are. Hey, Neil, thanks for joining us on the show today. Thank you so much. How's it going?
All right. Yeah, no, thanks for having me.
I'm just trying to help you out. That's all. That's all right.
Yeah, thanks. Your film, Duchess, I mean, look, I guess the lesson is don't get involved with women who have scorpion tattoos. I think that's maybe, no, I kid. But tell us about this film.
It was just I fancied doing a change of genre. I like doing that. I like jumping from genre to genre. I don't want to be like just put in a box and in the horror box or whatever and just do that kind of stuff. I'd always fancied doing a sort of gangster movies or crime thriller. So this was my sort of have a go at that,
There is a significant amount of gunplay in this. I mean, the action is over the top. It's there has got to be, with handling weapons in a film like this, your actors have to be very well trained.
Yeah.
And they pull it off well. Can you tell us about that?
Well, I mean, we did what we could. We're not up there with like John Wick or something like that, but I think we had, their lunch budget was what we had to make the whole film. So we did what we can. Luckily, we had people like Philip Winchester on the cast, and he's well versed in handling firearms. I first kind of encountered him through the TV show Strike Back, where he does a lot of action stuff in there. So working with people like him, Sean Pertwee has done a lot of action stuff as well. So these guys know what they're doing. So it really is a case of like following their lead with the cameras as much as anything.
Do you know weapons yourself? I mean, does that help as director?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I grew up, my dad's ex-army, so I know weapons. I've always been interested in that kind of stuff. So, I know how to handle weapons as well. And quite often I'll go for training the same as the actors, just so that I know what we're dealing with on set. I just think it's good to, as a director, to know that stuff. So yeah, I get into all that stuff.
I have limited experience with weapons on a film set. I did a movie years ago where we did have guns. We did have blanks in those. The level of seriousness that the people in that space take it. I had to go to a special. The weapons are all locked up in a cage. I had to sign it. Like, they take it seriously just to even receive these weapons and then to use them on a film set. Can you talk about that? Because there's a lot of gunplay in this film.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is serious business. Anytime that firearms are on set in any way, shape, or form, we take it very, very seriously. I've never had any issues whatsoever. I've worked with various professional armorers over the years and actors who well trained. So we're always very, very careful about that kind of stuff. But it's inherently, film sets are dangerous without the firearms, let alone bring firearms onto them.
Yes.
Just heavy equipment and lots of people and noise and stuff like that. So yeah, you got to be careful with that stuff. But these guys knew what they were doing. We had a fantastic armorer on this movie, very well experienced, and did a great job.
What went into the casting?
Well, there's various people that I've wanted to work with. I love working with Sean Pertwee. I always try and get them in my films if I can. He's kind of lucky charm. Philip Winchester, as I said, I followed on Strike Back. I almost directed some Strike Back, so missed that opportunity to work with him then. And then I just thought he was perfect for this role as this kind of sort of anti-Bond kind of character, very suave and cool, and but he's kind of ultimately his bad guy. So people like him, Stephanie Beacham was just great working with such an icon, and getting her to swear like a trooper was awesome. Cole Meany as well, just synonymous with kind of gangster movies as well. So just amazing actors. It's just fantastic.
Can you talk about working with Cole Meany? We have a lot of Star Trek fans watching us.
He only came in for a day's filming. I mean, it was like he came down to Tenerife where we were filming and came in for a day, and he was just amazing. He doesn't need to, he's one of those actors. Like, I've worked with a few actors like this where it doesn't matter how they deliver the lines, it's going to sound good. It's very difficult to sort of fault their performances because he's so well versed at this kind of stuff. So no, but he was a really nice guy, and delivered the goods.
Awesome.
Tell us, with balancing the cast, it's such an amazing cast. How do you do this? How many days do you have? And what are the tricks to kind of get through the days?
Yeah, well, I went down to we filmed mostly in the Canary Islands and on Tenerife. I went down there expecting a schedule of 32 days, and I was told shortly after getting there that we had to cut 7 days from the schedule. So we ended up having 24 days to shoot the movie, and we didn't cut anything from the script. So we still shot the same movie. We just had to go hell for leather from day one. Very, very mad, fast days. I mean, you're talking about one of the shootouts. We ended up, like, each of those shootouts was meant to have like 3 days to film. We ended up with 1 day each. And one of those days I had COVID, so that didn't help. But we end up with, at the end of the day, you've got like 2 hours to film a whole shootout, and it's, what do you do? Well, thankfully, our actors are well versed in weapons. They know what they're doing. We run through the whole shootout scene, and we just let the cameras, the camera guys stick the cameras on their shoulders and to go handheld, and just get in there and film as much as possible in a short amount of time. It's intense. It's stressful, but somehow or other we got there.
We've got over 2,000 people watching live on Rumble, on YouTube, and X. We have a lot of questions in our chat. You ready?
Okay.
Questions and comments from E.G. Smith. We need Dog Soldiers 2 Dead Meat.
Okay, well, the Dead Meat thing was just way back when the producers tried to make a Dog Soldiers 2 without me, and they referred to it as Dead Meat or Fresh Meat or something like that, and that never happened. For the past 5 or 6 years, I've been working with one of the producers, a guy called Christopher Figg, to try and get a sequel off the ground. The reason that we can't do it is because we don't own the rights. They're owned by the other producer, and for whatever reason, the negotiations seem to have fallen apart. So we tried our best. I don't think it's ever going to happen now. So
You're
there you
getting a
go.
lot of love in our chat here.
Yeah.
Dark Carafon says, "Hail Neil Marshall, love Dog Soldiers, one of the greatest werewolf films ever." And Jocular Chaos, "I'll see anything Marshall directs." For
Oh, great.
Razorburn, question for Neil: what was the inspiration behind Dog Soldiers? It's one of my fave horror films.
So that was a combination of obviously my big love of werewolf movies, American Werewolf, The Howling, and such like, but also I guess because I already said that my dad was like ex-military, so I wanted to do something about soldiers, and then I love siege movies, so Assault on Precinct 13 and Rio Bravo and Zulu and films like that. So I kind of like just wanted to throw everything into the same mixing pot, and that's where Dog Soldiers came from.
Mike MC Wong says, "Descent is awesome. Thank you for making that classic." And Solomon Thornton, "Greetings, Sir Neil. Enjoyed The Descent. It traumatizes me till this day. What is your approach to filmmaking?"
My approach to filmmaking, I just want to tell the best stories and make the most entertaining films. It depends. With a film like The Descent, my approach was I wanted to traumatize people with it. I wanted to make the scariest film I possibly could. So that was the plan all along. I didn't sort of clock how many people were claustrophobic until I made it, but it seems that a lot of people are. But my approach to filmmaking, yeah, I just have a good time doing it, make the best film possible, and give the audience what they want.
Patrick O'Neill says, "If we need someone to portray Donald Pleasance, we have our man." What is that?
We're getting a lot of those comments.
Thanks, Patrick. The Nerd Throwaway, "Hail, Mr. Marshall. How long did your cast rehearse with so much firearm use? What genre would you like to take on next?"
We took the cast to firearm. We had a lot of practice and rehearsal before the shoot, so I guess they were like rehearsing with the firearms for like a week or so. But as I say, people like Phil Winchester, they've used them many, many times before, so it's kind of nothing new to them. What genre do I want to do next? I kind of want to do a straight up action movie. I got a few of those. I got a sci-fi movie in the work. I got about 5 or 6 projects. I got a thriller, sci-fi, a couple of monster movies. So, just whatever comes next. Just hope I get to make something next at the moment.
Hey, it's me in HD. I must say, Mr. Marshall, the cast of Duchess are excellent actors.
I agree.
100%. Aid Ellis 24, having made one of the classic werewolf films, 2002's Dog Soldiers, why do you think that horror creature has been so tough to crack cinematically compared to things like vampires and ghosts?
Because it's a hell of a lot more expensive to do than vampires and ghosts. Creating werewolves is not, you're either doing a suit or you're doing CG, but either way, it's got to look photorealistic. Achieving that is not easy. Whereas, vampires, stick a set of teeth in and you got a vampire. It's a hell of a lot easier, and zombies and such like, a lot easier.
Aaron Sherman says, "You've directed some iconic episodes of Game of Thrones, including Blackwater and The Watchers on the Wall. How did working on such a large-scale TV production differ from your other film projects?"
With the differences is you park your ego at the door. It's not your baby, it's somebody else's baby. And you're going in there to direct the shit out of it and make it the best job you possibly can. But you also get to kind of go home and sleep at night. When it's one of your films, you kind of eat, breathe, sleep, everything. It's for 2 years of your life, it consumes you. With a TV show, less so. But also, I love the scale. I love the big stuff. Doing Game of Thrones is great. The bigger the scale, the better for me. I like all the epic action.
And a final question here from Chad Curtis for 499. Agree on Firing Squad, heavy-handed, low-budget.
No, that's for a different movie.
Oh, that's a different movie. Oh, sorry. What am I doing? Sorry about that. Well, there we go. Neil, thank you so much for taking time to talk to us today. Congratulations on Duchess. It's out. Is it out now on VOD or?
It is. Yeah, it's out in the UK and a few theaters. But I think everywhere, US, UK on VOD today as well, if not this weekend. But yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you showing up early. Appreciate that. Thank you. I'm always
You
early.
actually saved us by showing up early.
You,
so.
yeah, you helped us out. So thank you. It's all
Excellent.
good. It's
All
all
right.
good. All right. Have a great day. Thank you so much. Talk to you
Cheers.
soon.
Thank you.
Thank
Later.
you.
Bye. That was awesome.
That was awesome.
That was awesome. Wow. I love that. Look at that.
Big time
We'll
director
reset
coming
here.
on. Yeah, there we
The
go.
show. Let's get that last comment. I'm so sorry. We'll
We'll
showed up
answer.
early. It threw me off.
All
Threw me off.
right, you gonna do it?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Chad Curtis for
Hey,
499.
Chad. Sorry about that.
Agree on firing squad, heavy-handed, low budget, poor script, powerful story that could have been Green Mile level in better hands and more money. Yeah, unfortunately, studios don't want to do faith movies. People don't want to invest in faith movies, and that's the hand you're given at this point.
Right. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. But you got Cuba Gooding Jr. in the movie, and he talked a lot about his. I've seen interviews where he talks about his faith and why the role is important to him.
Yeah. All right. One last film to review today in our packed day. Let's get that set up, Alan.
Yes.
And you know what I'll do? I'll play a video. You know what? I'm going to play a classic.
Keeping Star Wars alive.
Exactly. Well, we will be, before we review this film, we are going to be this weekend, folks. This weekend, we will be at D23 all weekend. I will be there tonight at D23. There will be big announcements. We will be reacting. I will be live from the floor of D23. You might see me pop up on FNT if I can get there soon enough. I'll be live from the floor at D23 today. Alan will be live tomorrow. We'll be doing videos for members only for our D23 coverage. New movies. Apparently there's a big Star Wars announcement coming. Alan, are you ready?
Yeah. I just want to know more about that Rey movie.
We may get something. So watch later today, a live stream from the floor. We'll see how my internet holds out. And then we'll do clips and videos for our members only. And Alan, you'll have fun on Saturday. Alan is going to wear a disguise as me.
Yes, I'm going to gray my hair. I should do that. Gray my hair. Work on my list.
You got to be careful with this using my badge. You'll have to act stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And go, oh, I lost. Just you know what? And you don't make eye contact with people. Do your thing, but be very careful out there.
Yeah.
It's like we switch brains.
Although technically, I'm not doing that. If anyone's watching this,
yes,
Alan
is not doing it
because I've not been credentialed to be at D23.
So. Yes, you have not. Only I was.
Yeah. So no, I won't be there. I will not be there this weekend. What are
you looking forward to, Alan?
What, for D23? Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. They are. This is a train wreck. People are telling me it's a train wreck. The fact that the major panels are being done at the Honda Center, the fact that it didn't start yesterday, it's starting today. My understanding is tonight's panel is being broadcast live on Disney Plus. Tomorrow's panel, the Parks panel, is supposed to be on Disney Plus, and they can't. It's going to be pre-taped, or it's not going to be live streamed at all. And then it's the sad state of Disney that this event is not as big as it should be, and that's my biggest disappointment. Because what does Disney have to offer, and enough to where I want to go to D23 and learn about it? This is going to be a boring as hell D23 Expo. It's going to be the worst one.
Here's the sad thing. I don't think there'll be any news. Mm-hmm. No big news. They may re-announce Star Wars movies that they've already announced at Star Wars Celebration. Yeah. I expect no big news, but we'll be there. Somehow we got credentialed
Yeah. I
So
mean,
we'll
I'll
see.
guarantee you Catherine Hahn and Aubrey Plaza will be there tonight. That's
For
for
talking about Agatha.
For Agatha, yeah.
Great.
I think,
Great.
yeah.
All right. Let's pivot, Alan. It's time. Oh, shit.
No, this is the one. This is the one. What are you doing?
No, go ahead.
All right. There you go.
Alan, tell us about It Ends With Us, starring Blake Lively.
All right, you want me to tell you this one? All right, so based on the novel, It Ends With Us, Blake Lively plays Lily Bloom, who moves to Boston after the death of her father, who she has been estranged from for a very long time. While in Boston, her dream is to open her own flower shop. And while in the midst of this dream, she is sitting on top of her apartment building roof, lamenting her father's death. And in bursts Riley Kincaid, an angry young man who is just frustrated with life. The two of them kind of kick it off. He's a neurosurgeon. She wants to be a flower shop owner. And there's this game throughout the half of the movie of this cat and mouse between the two of them, because he's kind of the bad boy and she's kind of has trust issues, but ultimately the two get together thanks to the fact that Lily hires Ryle's sister Alyssa without knowing they're related, and this friendship blooms. But one day they go to a restaurant to introduce Ryle to Lily's mother, and Lily's old boyfriend Atlas is there, and he suspects trouble, and that's the story up to this point of It Ends With Us.
So this was a special screening on Wednesday that anyone could buy a ticket to.
Yeah.
You and
AMC, I should say, AMC promoted this as Girls' Night Out. Girls' Night Out.
And I was the only single man in the audience, as I assume you were, Alan.
I was as well.
It was all women, couples, and gay couples, gay man couples, and me. There was but it was a crowded screening. Anyways, the audience I saw it with really loved it. And I'll say I was taken. First, I was shocked. Mm-hmm. This is a standard romance. He's this doctor, a neurosurgeon, a little rough around the edges. She's this sort of broken young woman starting a business. They strike up a romance, and it's very sweet. And I was
in fact, my audience fell for it. I was hearing oohs and ahs throughout the entire first half of this movie.
This love affair is sweet. They move in together. And we're going to get into spoiler territory. So we're putting up the warning, but the only way to talk about this movie is spoilers. Mm-hmm. So if you care about this film, spoilers, because we need to discuss. So, they end up getting married. Mm-hmm. And I'm taken up because I'm going to admit something right now. I'm a sap. This is a chick flick. It's a romance, not necessarily romantic comedy, but it's a romance. And I got sucked in. I thought, oh my God, this couple. And I was shocked because I'm like, wow, it's so weird to see a young white woman with a white man in love in a movie. And her ex-boyfriend from high school is also white. I was like, I'm just saying this. I'm only pointing it out because it occurred to me. This is so rare, and it was sweet. And then things take a turn.
Okay, so let me interject here for a second. Let me interject here for a second.
Wait. This is where the spoilers are. The movie takes a turn. Dip out if you don't want to hear. The film takes a turn about midway-ish in the film. Okay. And to be clear, let me set this up. The ex-boyfriend who she had in high school was her first love. She lost her virginity to him. She thought he was homeless. He was kind of from a broken home. And they were in love, and her father was an abuser. Her father, Blake Lively, the character Lily's father, abused her mother. She witnessed it. She was scared of him, and the boyfriend protected her, the high school boyfriend. Then we get to the new boyfriend, Ryle.
Okay, I need to interject here because I've seen the trailer to this movie, and this is a discussion we had after the movie came out. But in the trailer of the movie, it is heavily implied that Ryle is an abuser.
Yes.
Okay, and I don't think you knew that. I don't think most of the audience knew that, but I knew that. And so while I'm watching the first half of this romance, I'm thinking to myself, when's this guy going to turn? When's this guy going to turn? And here's the spoiler alert. He turns in what I call a very Kaiser Soze method, where he is such a great guy throughout the half of the movie that when the cat is out of the bag, you are now forced to go back in time to not only realize, well, what, the moments in which you should have seen the signs, but then they have to bring in flashbacks to show you elements of the original first half of the movie that weren't seen. And I'll point you to the stair scene. And this is, so you and I had a very different experience about it because I'm waiting for it to happen. You don't know it's happening.
Right.
Which I find is interesting.
Because it was implied, the trailer of this movie bills it like a sweeping romance, the kind of movie you don't see in the theater very often. And she has the best friend. They have the flower shop together. Hassan Minhaj plays Marshall. He's her best friend's husband. They're having a baby. There's all these things where it's like, this is a sweet, nice film that's a romance, and you never see this. The turn happens, and you re-experience things that did happen that were like, oh, he was violent, but you see it. They don't really, they show it in a different way, so you don't realize that he was really an abuser.
Yeah. And I think that speaks to the idea that a lot of times when women are abused, they overlook the abuse. That violent instances were accidents. That it was their fault. And I think that's what they were trying to do. It just seemed, I kind of wish it was a little bit more obvious than that, rather than me guessing that was what was happening. I think I have. Oh man! After watching this movie, I was like, there's a lot here to unpack, and I think, for me, I think this movie resonates with me in my life a little bit more than most, especially as a man. But Chris, keep going. I want to know more about what you thought about it.
So he ends up an abuser. She's reconnected with her boyfriend, the high school boyfriend, who has opened a restaurant near her flower shop, unbeknownst to both of them. They opened small businesses. And she's dealing with the trauma of her father, right? Because it opened with a funeral where she couldn't list 5 things she loved about her dad. That was her speech at the funeral. List 5 things you loved about your dad. She couldn't do it. And that sort of sets things, well, that's weird. And the romance between her and Ryle is actually really sweet. It starts off sweet. He's kind of a player, and she's like, I'm not going to be with a player. And then, she kind of, reels him in. And
she tames the beast.
And he's a beast. So this is what's sort of sad to me is that they had a chance to have this movie that was just a standard romance, nothing special about it. Would have been great. The audience, I can say this at my screening, was not with it.
Yeah.
Once the turn happens in the third act and it's revealed he's an abuser, and she makes some strides to escape and change her life. We won't go in detail.
Yeah. I agree with you. I felt bad for my audience because my audience was really buying this romance.
Yeah.
They were sucked into this romance, and then to have that romance, the rug pulled out from under them, you just sense the disappointment. At the end of my movie, there was mild applause, and a lot of silence. But I think in a way the message of the movie about abuse, about domestic abuse, once you get past that, the Kaiser Sose method there, I think people got what the message of the movie was about.
Yeah.
But I just felt bad that in a way they wasted the first half of this movie by investing in this couple.
You are with them. You're like, oh, it's romantic.
Mhm.
There's a proposal, and the way he proposes
Yeah.
is so the audience is saying, oh,
Oh,
and
man.
I guess that's the message, is a good guy can turn, but it's kind of sad that like we get a traditional romance and Blake Lively is great in the movie.
Yeah.
Like she's very good. It's sexy. They're both like good looking, and they're like, oh my, it was like, I'm sitting here going, this is comfort food.
Yeah.
I'm getting sucked in. And then when the turn happens, I was like, the audience, no one applauded. Everyone just silently left because, and there's also a cringe moment in the movie where she says the title of the movie. Remember
I have
how
something to say about that, but
I'm not gonna. She says the title of the movie in the movie. Someone should do a supercut of characters that say the title of a film in movies. It ends with us. And I was just like, oh, but it just made me. I mean, look, I think ultimately in the end, the movie is. I mean, the third act is all message, pounding in message, and it's a Hallmark film. This is a Hallmark film about an abuser.
Movie.
It's a Hallmark film about a charming abuser. That's what this is. But I did not know that going in. And I didn't know the book.
And I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's what's weird. I will give this movie a mild recommend for the first 2/3 of the movie because you don't see movies like this. And so a mild recommend, but I was so I want to kind of say it's a bait and switch. It's a romance, but it's got this other thing. But the romance part is so well handled. I think they underestimated.
Yeah, I felt it's like they worked really hard to make that romance angle romantic, and they succeeded. And I think that was the problem.
Worked.
And it worked, and that was the problem. That is the problem with the movie. Again, it did help for me to have known ahead of time. It just, I don't know how people missed it in the trailer, but they did. But after seeing this, it was a lot to unpack. And I'll say it this way. The movie, especially the ending, hit very close to home for me and my family. In terms of, look, I've mentioned before, I don't know if I've ever mentioned, but I was actually in ministry before doing Film Threat. I was working at a church as a college pastor. So stories like this are very familiar to me. I've seen it too many times. I've seen it where women and girls, it's their parents, and sad to say, but I've seen it with fellow pastors that I've known and worked with to be like this. So this happens. This story of Lily Bloom happens. I think the problem is the Me Too movement, where you would have expected the Me Too movement to shine a light on domestic abuse, on parental abuse. Instead, it politicized it. And that, to me, is the greatest tragedy of the Me Too movement. Rather than saving women, it went out to go after men. And I'll say this. I know more innocent men who are caught up in the Me Too movement than actual creeps and bastards who should have gone to jail for what they've done. These people are still out living and wandering the streets while innocent people have gotten their lives turned upside down because the Me Too movement politicized it. So back to this movie, not to get into great detail because it's not my story to tell, but this was, I married into this situation with my wife where she comes from a very abusive background, and the title, It Ends With Us, that is a title we say often when it comes to our daughter, that the cycle abuse that my wife and her family had gone through for generations, it ends with us. And that's what kind of resonated with me with this movie, because it was like finally a chance to to raise a daughter, to raise a child, and not have to experience the things that my wife had to experience, and to live as healthy of a life as possible in light of all that. And we've gone through extraordinary lengths to make sure that happens. And it wasn't easy. It was hard. And so this movie, like I said, hits home to me. And I understand what is going on with this. And, that's why I have to recommend it. And that's why I have to speak out against the unintended consequences of the Me Too movement. Because there are people who need to go to jail, and there are women who need to be saved and experience a new life, so to speak. And so, yeah, I'll give this a recommendation. I think the twist is my only major problem with it. I think they hadn't set up the romance so romantic. I probably would give it a much higher score than I would.
But I would, well, a couple things. But I actually think that the way the romance is handled so well is that's the thing. She is seeing the relationship through rose-colored glasses, so to speak, right? Another flower reference. But like, she only sees the good, and the bad is kind of like something she doesn't remember, or
she has to frame it in a certain way.
So when the movie takes a turn and you see other things that happened in a different way, like you go, oh, that really was this. So I think they're trying to be authentic to that, which is, I haven't read the book, but I'm going to guess that the book kind of does that. Like women that fall into this don't see it because they only see the good. And I'll say this, knowing your wife and your daughter is such an amazing young woman. She's so well behaved. I don't know what kind of discipline, but she clearly knows. I'm kidding. I'm saying you have your daughter is a great kid. Yeah. She's just a really, really great kid, really smart. She'll be at screenings sometimes. Yeah. So
she's great. I love her. And I'll say this, growing up myself, my dad was into corporal punishment. That is something, especially in my marriage, it was like, corporal punishment is not going to be a part of this household. Discipline is not going to involve hitting. And I don't say that as to cast aspersions on people who use that method. I understand it. But in this situation and in this context, we had to go with other methods, timeout mostly, to discipline my daughter over her life, because the temptation of becoming like this or continuing that cycle is something we had to stop at every moment we could.
All right, so I recommend the film. I mean, but I think it's better going in to know what it is. It is a film about abusive relationship that starts off really great. I mean, so knowing that, so I would definitely recommend the film. It's not for everyone. It's definitely chick flick.
Yeah.
Hallmark on a higher level. And I don't know, maybe I really miss just a good romantic film. And this, at least parts of it are. Even her high school romance is very sweet. Yeah. Is very portrayed very in a sweet way.
And I think I also felt like that the resolution of that marriage, of the bad marriage, was done in a good way. I mean, I want you to see it. I don't want to spoil it. But okay. Yeah. I don't want to spoil it.
Okay, Alan, your recommendation.
Recommended. I'll give it a 6.5. All
right. Let's go to comments here, starting with some supers right here. I'll post them.
Okay. From Benjamin for 5. Alan, what is your favorite hymn? What is a staple Sunday morning banger? My favorite hymn is How Great Thou Art. And one of the problems I have with church today is I'm not into praise bands. I'm sorry. I like the old hymns because I don't want to go into it. I'm not into praise bands.
All right. From right here.
From old Renaissance Boomer for 5. I know the feeling, Chris. I'm an amateur photographer and I've gotten to media creds for pro soccer, volleyball, IndyCar, Liverpool, football club. Ask, you'll never know.
All right, more comments here. Thank you for that.
Lily Bloom, what is she, a stripper?
No, but they joke about it in the movie.
Yeah, Brock Samsonite. It's a memorable moment in the movie, by the way. Brock Samsonite sounds like a story about a woman who has poor taste in men and has to learn that about herself because she normally blames the guy when the signs were there all along and she just looked away. I mean, the title says it all. It's about that cycle of abuse that generations go through. And at some point, you've got to recognize it in order to break it. And I think that's what ultimately the point of the movie was. Andrew Cranford 10, thanks for sharing. Alan, well, thank you. You have no idea. Bobby's World member for 9 months. Alan, should we see it in Dolby or IMAX?
I don't think this movie doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah, it was put in our smallest theater and it was packed.
It was packed. My screening was packed as well.
It was.
But the reaction, I think the audience felt as I did. We did not. I mean, they were oohs and ahs, and you hear like a, it has a great romantic moments. I miss romance in movies, even as a subplot.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, Ron Henriquez. It ends with me sounds like the alternate title, like No More or Enough. It was obvious to me what this film was. Yes, Sleeping with the Enemy was another one.
I feel dumb that I didn't know, but yeah.
Okay. Davina Duckworth. The audience took a beating, metaphorically. Oh. Darth Yeager. I love it when they say the name of the movie in the movie. I love it too.
It does happen. So
remember when Luke said, "Oh, the Empire struck back."
Yeah, why? Yeah, that's crazy. All right, that's gonna end it for us today, Alan. What do you have? Okay, well, we already know what we have coming up.
Yeah, I'm not going to be at D23, and it sounds like it'll be a good time.
I'm gonna see you tonight.
Yeah, I'll see you tonight.
I'm seeing you and Atomic Lori at an undisclosed location. So there you go. But I'll be at D23 in about probably 3-4 hours. Well, no, like around 4:00. I'll be there. I might pop up on FNT.
Well, then you better get there before 4:00.
Yeah, I know. I gotta get going. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for your super chats. Thank you to Lord Thoth, our mod. Thank you to Atomic Lori. Like, share, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Sign up as a member. Join us on X, Discord, Rumble, and Instagram. Buy our merch, shop.filmthread.com. We appreciate all of you for that. We've got more exclusive videos for members only. That's part of it. And then I always like to do giveaways to members. We'll do more of that. So there you go. Thank you, everyone. We'll be at D23 all weekend. So there you go. And yeah, so look for Ing the Merciless at D23.
Because I won't be there.
And look
Chris
for
Gore will be there. Chris Gore will be there the whole weekend.
I will be there. I'll be dressed like this.
There you go.
That's what I'll be like. So there you go. All right, Alan.
Let's get out of here. Sorry. What?
What do you have to say for yourself?
Let's get out of here.